When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home, I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing.
Hi, my name is Larry White, and I am your producer and director of The Inner Beat. The Inner Beat is a socially conscious program that sometimes showcases cultural events as well as community events. And occasionally, we'll even bring you a little song and dance. So sit back and enjoy The Inner Beat.
I came to know Dr. Clarke through his writings before I met him personally. And when I met him personally, I was struck by this man with the intellectual bullets. I knew a great deal about the physical bullets that people have that wipe out other people and that frighten them and that bring them to their knees with fear. But the intellectual bullets, which this small, soft-spoken, rather inconspicuous human being brought to our community, to academia, was very, very gratifying to me. And I would like to share with you those pieces of his life which were so meaningful to me. In the first place, he was truly a gifted man. There's no question about the fact that he's a gifted man. And I say he is a gifted man because his influence still lives among us. That is important because he came from very humble beginnings. And very often today, even though we think we have grown past the kinds of hypocrisy that were imposed upon us by the oppressor, we still tend to not value people who come from humble means. This is particularly true of children. Teachers very often don't see the genius in children who come from humble means, children who come from poverty, children who come from the housing project, children who come from families that are considered broken but have been broken by society, those that wear their pants down lower than they should and their hairstyle is not what we think it should be. We don't see past those superficialities to see the giftedness and the genius that's in these youngsters in order to help to develop that genius. Dr. Clarke was also very much self-educated, as Dr. McIntosh said. When he went to Hunter College to head the department, he did not have the earned credentials. Here again, very often, we make the mistake of thinking that it's only those people who have those earned degrees, and I want them to have the earned degrees. I think it's extremely important, and I try in every way to encourage every young person to get every credential that they can possibly get. But I also know that there are people with wisdom and sagacity who are self-taught, who have read, who have traveled, who have lived, and who have functioned in keeping with the findings of their life. And certainly Dr. Clarke did that. But he also went on, once he was in academia, to earn the full degrees. Shortly before his death, he finished that earned doctorate. And I commend him for the fact that he never stopped. The last time I spoke with him, when he was in the hospital, approximately 2 weeks before he died, he was talking about what he was going to do. Even in his illness, he was. And many of us who so-called have retired intellectually and spiritually and emotionally. We have removed ourselves from the fray. We have become connoisseurs, meaning that we don't sing, we don't dance, we don't teach, we don't write, we don't give. We just evaluate what everybody else does. And that's, I call the connoisseur. But we have no ability, no right to retire with as much as there is to do, to read, to sing, to teach, to give, to forgive. I admired that about him. I also feel that Dr. Clarke presented to our people an alternative philosophy of living. And that's what's lacking with our young people today. They only know the American system because by strategy, the system of African consciousness, of African culture, of African tradition has been omitted from the curriculum of the public school system, and most of our children only have access to that system. So they don't know any alternative. They don't know anything but meism. They don't know anything but materialism. They don't know anything but instant gratification. And so where do they hear another voice saying there's another way, that there is a different value system that is communal, that is collegial, that's caring, that's humane, a system that built kingdoms and worlds and philosophy and psychology and medicine and endured for thousands of years, and that it is that value system which will give your life meaning and purpose. And when we talk about that value system, sometimes people ask me, well, what do you mean by an African value system? Africa is a continent, it's not a country. What do you mean when you say that? Actually, although Africa is a continent, Africa has a commonality among all of the various nations in Africa. Ancestor worship, understanding that the spirit of the ancestors lives with you, and they protect you, and they can whisper words of encouragement and wisdom to you. Another great African philosophy is our responsibility for the children. We have long neglected that. But in the African psychology, we have a responsibility for the children. Wake
up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. No more backward thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be.